What's up, guys? And I hope you're enjoying Lorcana, or maybe you're thinking about getting into Lorcana with set 4 releasing this weekend at your local LGS. Now, in 2 weeks, it'll also be coming to the big box stores like your Walmarts and your Targets and things like that. So what I wanted to do was kind of take a look back at the top 10 cards per color of the current sets. So set 1 through 3, what are those cards that you really want to have in your collection as the new set comes out? Now, not only do we have a set 4 coming out, we have a new product coming out with set 4, and it's called an Illumineer's Quest. This one is Deep Trouble, and it is a co-op game. So you can play Lorcana together and learn the game and all the different aspects of it. I think this is another one of those products that's very smart and is going to bring more people into the game, which is why I think this question was very, very important. So let's start it off with Amber, and let's go through the top 10 cards I think you should have from the previous 3 sets. All right, so we have our cards, and I'm going to go through each of the 10. But first, I do want to throw out 2 honorable mentions from each of these colors. So yeah, really you're getting 12 cards, but I wanted to make sure that we cover all the cards that you really need. Now, yes, it's easy enough. Just go get play sets of everything. But when it comes to these cards, especially if you're new coming to the game, you have to figure out where you're going to spend that money, opening packs or singles or whatever. And so I want to make sure that we at least focus in on a few cards, let you know why I think they're important and why you should pick them up. Now we're going to start with our honorable mentions, and I'll throw a picture on the screen, but we have Stitch, a New Dog. Now Stitch, a New Dog, he is a 1-drop, he is inkable, and he's a 2/2, but this is a staple card when you look at all the other Stitch cards out there. To go along with Stitch, New Dog, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to throw Stitch Rockstar here too. And yes, this is an honorable mention. Now, I think this card is really great and works really well. But if we look at the data, we look at all the tournaments, Pixelborn, things like that, you'll see that Stitch Rockstar actually isn't getting played as much as he was in set 1 and set 2. With set 3, we had a big shift in what cards are being used. And so I wanted to let you know, as we go through these cards, we're going to actually be looking at a lot of Pixelborn data, because, well, that's about what we can really find when it comes to cards being used. And so these next 10 cards that we're going through are really going to be those highly used cards, the ones that you really need because they're showing up in a lot of decks. And I've kind of got them in an order based on how much you're probably going to use them. So starting us off on the list at number 10 is going to be Stitch, Carefree Surfer. Now, I know we just had 2 other Stitches as the honorable mentions, but this one is the one that's being used the most right now in the decks. He's a big body, he taps for 2, and he's got a really great ability. When you play this character, if you have 2 or more other characters in play, you may draw 2 cards. Drawing cards is king when it comes to Lorcana, and you're going to see that as we go through our list of all the different cards, especially when we're looking at Amber. Next up on the list at the number 9 slot is Mufasa. Now, Mufasa is one of those cards that he didn't really get played a lot, but with the rise of Be Prepared, yeah, I say it's a rise, but realistically, it's been here since set 1. Mufasa has been a really great card to counteract that control. Now, Mufasa is a 5-drop, he is inkable, and he's a 3/3. He taps for 2, so he's already pretty decent at the curve, but the reason why you play him is when this character is banished, you may reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a character card, you may play that character for free and they enter exerted. Otherwise, put it on top of your deck. So again, this is kind of an answer to a lot of that removal. They can use a Maleficent Dragon, a Be Prepared, Medusa, all of those cards, and he replaces himself. Now, you do have to build your deck a little more specific, and that needs to be creature heavy. But most of the time in these Amber decks, you do have a lot of creatures in there. I'm not talking about Steel Song, but most of the other Amber decks, he's going to replace himself. And so after that board wipe comes down, you still have a character to quest with next turn. Next up, yeah, these guys really haven't gotten used too much, but we are seeing him show up. This is Doc. Now, Doc is one of the 7 dwarves, and sure, a lot of people tried to make the dwarves work, and maybe at some point they will, but right now, there's just a few that are kind of sticking out, and Doc is one of them. Now, the reason why Doc is being used is he is a 3-drop, he is inkable, he's a 2/3, and he taps for 2. Really, really great curve already, but whenever this character quests, you may pay 1 less for the next character you play. And this is the reason why Doc is really good, because the Amber decks have been kind of working with the ramp parts where maybe you play Pluto on 1, you tap Pluto, you get Doc down on turn 2, and now with Pluto and Doc, you can play a 5-drop on turn 3. Maybe that Stitch Rockstar that we talked about earlier. But this is the reason why Doc is so good, because at minimum, he's questing for 2 and you're getting 1 less on your next play. So he is becoming a staple in a lot of these Amber creature heavy decks. Now, one deck we've started to see already in set 4 with other cards coming in is this Ruby and Amber deck that has a lot of creatures that tap for 2. And again, being able to cheat some of those out is pretty good. So this is the reason why Doc is showing up in that spot, and the reason why he is going to probably stick around. All right, so next up, we're talking about, the staple cards that have been around since really the beginning. We're talking about Steel Song, and some of those cards you're going to see in the top here, and one of those is Sleepy's Flute. Now, Sleepy's Flute is a really good card that came out in set 2, but it's become a staple in a lot of these song decks, and we're seeing a lot more singing happening in set 4 as well. So Sleepy's Flute is definitely going to be one of these cards that I tell you should look at and pick up, because it can only go up in value from here. And it's a 2-drop. It's not inkable, but a lot of the good items aren't. And every time you sing a song, you can tap this card and gain 1 lore. So it's a free lore every turn if you're already singing songs. And I still think that this is a really good card for your decks, especially if that Steel Song style deck or singing song style deck is what you want to play. This is a great addition to those decks. So at the number 6 slot, we've got the Queen, Royal Monarch. So she's a 1-drop. She comes down, she's a 2/2, and she taps for 1. And it's kind of a little underwhelming. But I'm going to kind of pair her with number 5, because you're going to see these two in a lot of decks. Number 5 is also the Queen, but this time it's the Queen commanding Presence. So this is a 5-drop inkable for 3. She taps for 2, which is great. But the key here is shift 2. So when you look at these song decks that want to cast all these big spells, and currently most songs are 5 or under, she can come down on turn 2 and sing because, well, she's getting shifted on the little one that we just talked about as a combo here. This combo has become a staple in Lorcana, and I would recommend picking those up. They're fairly cheap because they're in the starter decks, but I don't see her going anywhere when it comes to the Amber or the Amber Steel decks, and it's a really strong combo. So speaking of songs, the next one on our list is a song, and it's the Bare Necessities. So in the 4th slot, we have the Bare Necessities. It is a 2-drop inkable, and when you play this, chosen opponent reveals their hand and discards a non-character card of your choice. Now, it's very important that it says non-character card, because this could be a lot of different things, whether it's an action, an item, a location, or who knows, maybe a future type of card that they reveal, it can hit it. And this is going to be very important to be able to defend yourself against some of these big spells that are coming down. This is one of those cards that have started to get slotted into all of the Amber decks as their action of choice, their song of choice, and I don't blame them. This is a card I definitely want to make sure I have a playset of, because it will continue to get better as the game expands and people kind of get away from just solid character decks, which we've really seen that for a long time now. So in the 3rd slot, we've got a character again, and this one is Cinderella, Ballroom Sensation. She is a 1-drop inkable 1/2, and she taps for 1 lore, but the important thing is she's a singer 3. Most cards, when they sing, they can only sing spells that are the same cost or lower than the card. But Cinderella is going to break this mold by allowing you to sing 3-cost songs on potentially turn 2. This is pretty huge because there's a lot of songs, especially in Steel Song and things like that, with removal, or maybe turn 2, you want to sing that Bare Necessities we just talked about. She is able to do that on turn 2 after being played on turn 1. She's a really good card, a versatile card, and now with set 4 having a lot of these sing together cards where you can have multiple characters sing a song, she's going to be really good because she's cheap, she can come down early, and she can help sing those bigger songs where another 1-drop wouldn't be able to. So in that number 2 slot, we have another singer, and this singer is Ariel. Ariel, Spectacular Singer, is a 3-drop inkable. She's a 2/3. She taps for 1 lore. But the important part is she's singer 5, and when she comes into the field, you get to look at the top 4 cards of your deck and pick a song. You can put that song, reveal it, and put it in your hand and be able to sing that song maybe with another character. This is really huge by giving you card advantage to look through your deck and find those cards that you really need, maybe to close out a game. Maybe you need a whole new world. You want to sing and get a whole new hand. Maybe you need Grab Your Swords. Maybe you need one of the new songs that is coming out in set 4. Well, she can dig to try to find it for you, and on the following turn, have 5 singing. So pairing her with Cinderella that we just talked about, that's 8 singing power. That's pretty huge, and I think there's only one other card that's maybe more than that when you're singing. So all in all, she's a really great card. She gives you card advantage, and she's going to be able to help you win those games and get to those cards that you really need to sing. So that brings us to the number 1 card in Amber. And if you've played Lorcana for a while, you've probably already guessed it. It's Rapunzel. Rapunzel, gifted with healing, is a 4-drop inkable 1/5, taps for 2. Already pretty good stats. But she has the ability of Gleam and Glow. When you play this character, remove up to 3 damage from one of your characters, draw a card for each one of that damage removed. So this has always been one of those great cards, and we talked about earlier, card draw is king in Lorcana, and she allows you to do it. We saw a couple cards come out in set 3 that came out in the field with damage already on, like Mother Gothel. She got to come down, take that damage off, but now we have more cards coming out like that. We have Beast, we have Mulan. Those are going to be really great cards that Rapunzel is going to be able to interact with and draw you more cards. So this is the reason why I think Rapunzel is going to continue to go up in value, because we're still going to be seeing cards that come down, have some damage on there. Maybe your other cards got damaged, like Sad Beast, you want to draw those cards. Rapunzel can remove that damage and allow you to draw some cards and continue to go through. So those are the 10, 12 cards that I think you should really look into. If you don't have play sets of them, you should maybe consider it. Yes, some of those cards do have a little bit of a price around them, so just be aware. If you don't play the color or you don't play that style of deck, you don't need to pick them up. But I will give the caveat of the fact that, we haven't got any reprints of set 1 or 2 at this point. Yes, there was a restock. If you don't know what a restock or a reprint is, I'll do a different video of that at some point. But at this point, we haven't got any reprints of the first set or the second set. And so with those continuing to dwindle away, people buying up those good cards, it's going to start to be harder and harder to find those cards. Now, I will say, I imagine at some point we will get actual real reprints of the cards, probably not of the full set, but specific cards that people are playing may get reprints in the future. So just keep that in mind. If you're here to make money and invest in things like that, I don't know. This is probably not where to do it. You probably want to be looking at enchanteds and things like that. But I will say, if you're looking to play the game, you'll want to make sure you can build really strong decks, really good decks. These 10 to 12 cards are cards that you really want to have in your collection. Now, if you like this kind of content, make sure leave a comment below. Did I miss a card? Maybe you think there's a better card than one of these 12 that I need to have on this list or I need to talk about. Leave it in the comments below. If you want to help this channel grow, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, interact with the video so other people can see this video. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so that, we can make some monetization on these videos. Maybe we can actually, pay for the time and all these cards that we're getting to play in these tournaments and things. So if you don't mind, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment below of what do you want to see next? What kind of questions do you have about Lorcana so we can make more content around this stuff? But I appreciate you guys so much for hanging out here in the InkCast with us, and make sure to check our other videos. And speaking of videos, if you want to know about all the other colors, make sure to check out that playlist right there. It's going to have all 6 colors and the top 10. They'll also have the honorable mentions, the top 12 of each of those colors and cards you need to be looking at. So click it, go check it out. Let us know.